Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. I thought 9 p.m. was going to be a good thing. Last week, I was shot by the time I was done with both episodes, so I was kind of looking forward to going back to just one episode today, or yesterday rather. And then 9 p.m. hit. I've been kind of under the weather pretty bad the last couple days, feeling much better today. So 9 p. hit, and I was like, nope, it's sleep time. So I am behind. I don't want to waste any more time. Why don't you pull up a chair, take a seat? We are, of course, getting ready to dive in spoiler-free into Ahsoka Season 1, Episode 3, Part 3, Time to Fly. And I'm gonna try to fly through this review because honestly, this is a really nice, tight episode. The total length drops to 37 this episode, so you went, I think, from like 58 to 47 to 37, something in that range. And I'm always gonna be of the general mindset that longer is better. Like these, I think all of these shows that Disney Plus produces, both for Star Wars and Marvel, should be 45 minutes minimum in length, and going up as much as 75 minutes if they wanted it to. That being said, when you're talking about shorter television and like more, you shave out credits, you're probably around the 35 minute television range. At least Dave Filoni is really good at operating inside that length. And what's nice here is this doesn't feel like a throwaway episode. It doesn't feel like a filler episode. And I tend to find that more often than not, shorter Star Wars episodes, I don't feel the shortened length as much as I do when Marvel does it. I don't know if that's because Filoni is used to shorter television lengths, but there is a disconnect between those two franchises. And again, while I think Star Wars handles the 30-minute episode better, I would have preferred 40 or 45 minutes here, just because you could have expanded on things that I really like in this episode. And this episode, for me, I think is probably the best one we've gotten so far. I really thought Filoni did a wonderful job laying a foundation for this season. If you were a Rebels fan, you could see all the things he was doing, and then like the nods and things to the series were wonderful. But if you're not familiar with these characters, I loved how Filoni took his time and spent time and gave you bits with all of these characters where it's like, okay, you're starting to understand who these people are that you're unfamiliar with in 2 episodes. And what's cool with the 30-minute episode, and this is the philosophy I like, that if you're going to have an episode this length, this is how you need to do it. You identify your A story and you pour everything into that. That is your hyper focus. That is you're fleshing that story out as much as you humanly can. And then your B storyline gotta be small, like real small. And that's one of the things where it's like the B storyline here has to do with Hera. And what's cool is, as a fan of Rebels, you're seeing Hera do things that we're very familiar with Hera. There are aspects of Hera's job that play into her relationships that you also kind of get a sense of here, where, again, if you're a Rebels fan, familiar, but if you're not, you're starting to learn these things about Hera. Last week, I didn't mention it, but there's a character connected to Hera that hadn't been mentioned yet, and I was wondering if he would be mentioned, and then not only is he mentioned, but you get him here. And that was a really cool thing where it's like you can see Filoni laying the seeds for storylines that either spin out of this show with these Rebels characters or apply to things on the back half of the season that are going on with Hera and wherever she is, because a lot of times Hera will be separated. Being a general, she's got a job to do, right? So she can't always be with her Rebels crew. And I thought that in the very little amount of time that we got with her, you kind of started to understand some of those things. And we see some other characters in that run that are fun. We get a little bit of Chopper in here, which was great. But the laser focus is on Ahsoka and Sabine. And considering that's what episode 2 set up right at the end, I love that that's the story that we dive into. And when you're in hyperspace, you've got some time. So we do get to touch on the training aspects and things that we were hoping to see with Sabine and Ahsoka. And what's cool is that bit of storytelling that you get, you can see how this means things for Sabine, but you can also see how this ties directly into Ahsoka's character and what these types of decisions and things that she's doing mean to her. And I love that we get a little bit of time there. We get to see Hu Yang in action a little bit more, and I love that David Tennant has the opportunity to bring this character to life, and that his voice work is just as stellar as it was in the animated show. And live action Hu Yang has been a big W for me. Once again, contributes largely to any of the laughs that we get in the episode, but he has programming that is extremely important to the things that are going on. I love that we get to see that fleshed out. Then when you get out of that pocket and you start diving into the story that applies to this season of television and the things around Baylan and Morgan and Shin, you get to see some cool things. Stuff that I was like, yo, that was dope. There's a little bit of silliness in there, but I feel like the Rebels and Clone Wars stories have always had a little bit of silliness in there, and it rebounds itself real quick, and then you get thrown into some action that is just top notch. Steph Green is behind the camera again. She was on episode 2, and I really dig her the way she works with action. And she has a piece here that like a lot of classic Star Wars vibes when you're out in space are going on, and you're getting a lot of like classic like, you know, Empire, Rebellion, although here I guess it would be New Republic and like Empire remnants, but like those shots where you're in spaceships, so many classic moments there. You got a lot of that for Shin, and you get to see her kind of be a commander within a fleet of people. Really great general, just Star Wars-y action stuff there. And then there's a piece to this sequence that ties back to Rebels in a way where if you are a Rebels fan, if you're not a Rebels fan, you should be familiar with what happens. But if you're a Rebels fan, you are going to geek out, and it was so much more gorgeous than anything we've seen to this point around these things. I really enjoyed that, and then you get very, very little bit with Morgan, and even less with Baylan. But when we get a little bit of Morgan, it's important storytelling to what her plan is and what they are building to. And the little bit of Baylan we get, I'm just like, yo, Ray Stevenson is such a presence. Like, it sucks that he passed, and like this is the only run we'll get with him as this Sith Lord Baylan, because Baylan is someone I want to spend time with. Like, just literally, he's got maybe 30 seconds on camera, and with like 2 lines and just presence, you feel like the physical, threatening evil of Darth Vader, but the cunning and genius and tactician things of Thrawn. And in both scenarios, if you were alone with either of those people, you would be terrified, and I would be terrified to be alone with Baylan. I think Ray Stevens is doing excellent work. Kevin Kiner, great score stuff here. Where he kicks in certain things just really pops. Sound design in general really works, specifically early in the episode with some of the things that are going on with the training. And yeah, overall, I just thought this episode checked all the boxes of things that you want to get in a Star Wars television show, and then checked most of the boxes for me with this Rebels group and the type of story that Filoni is telling here. I would have liked it to be longer, but what we got, I think, really, really works. So if you get the Sea-Maniacs up, like I said, the Ahsoka and Sabine stuff is great, both from the individual character standpoints to the combo. You get to play with that and see how like the divide between them is starting to disappear, you know, and seeing them interact and play with each other brought some classic stuff and some really great stuff, and I'm just all in on that part of the story. Get a little bit of time with Hera and Chopper, but it's important time, and we set things up that I think are very important, and we meet some characters that are very important. The stuff with Baylan and Shin and Morgan, again, pared down a lot, but really striking on screen stuff. You're getting really good action. The score is great. The performances continue to be phenomenal. Bordizzo, Dawson, Winstead, Stevenson, Sackno, Inosanto, even though she's very small in this episode. Tennant, I mean, Hu Yang continues to be fantastic. I love his utilization here. I think this was really firing on all cylinders for a short episode. If you do this in a 45, 55, 65 minute episode, yo, fives are going to be flying out all over the place for the Seaman. But for this episode, I'm going 4.5 out of 5. I really did think it did all the things I was hoping for with this episode. But again, the length, while it works really well and it's tight and everything you need to accomplish is there, and it flows and it feels good, and you know we're still meeting and getting smaller pieces of that mysterious Marok character, who could be any number of people, although I don't think it's Ezra. It's all there, but if you had 45, 55 minutes there, like this could have just been so much more effective in what you were already doing inside of the 30-minute. But that's a Disney Plus thing, I think, because it happens on Marvel, and Star Wars' sides. I just think the Star Wars team handles those shorter episodes a little bit better. But this one was really hitting for me, man. I really dug this up, especially as a Rebels fan. There were some great deep cuts, but lots of stuff that's setting up this season and things that could be coming in the future. There's just a lot of exciting things going on here. If you want to know what those exciting things are, check out my reaction. That'll be coming up later. But until then, I'm going to shut up, flip it over to you. Spoiler-free thoughts. What are you thinking, man? If you're a Rebels fan, what was popping? What was hitting? Do you like how they're using these characters? Do they feel correct to the cartoon? Do you ever get moments like while you're watching the episode where you can see the animated version of that sequence playing out? The things that are there for us, were they popping as big as they do for me? If you're not familiar and you watched, are you more fascinated? Is this an episode that pulls you in more? If you're waiting to watch, why are you waiting? What are you waiting for? When are you gonna watch? Are you excited? Are you not? Good, bad, indifferent on Ahsoka Season 1, Episode 3, Part 3, Time to Fly. Put it down below in the comments section. I look forward to talking down there. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out with C-Man every week as we watch Ahsoka, you want to be here for all that coverage. I was going to say chapter because I'm editing my Mando Season 3 coverage, which is also coming out, so you want to be here for that. Any other movies or trailers, you want to show a little love and support, come join C-Maniac Nation as we approach 4,000. Can do it with your help, and all you gotta do is jump over there, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell if you want those alerts. And until next time, for the C-Man Cinema Sit Down, I've been the C-Man. I'm signing off. Peace! Oh, you guys are still here. You snuck up on me. You must be looking for more of this guy. Well, I got 2 video options for you, man. Right up here and right over here. And if you want all those C-Man goodies, well, hey, come join the squad right on over there, and I'll catch you on the next one.